This year's NFL trade deadline is going to be different. So let's talk about why. So the NFL trade deadline used to stink. It came and went, nothing really happened, and nobody really paid any attention to it. But since the NFL has moved the trade deadline later and later into the season, things have started to change. I believe 2020 set the record where it was 11 trades with 13 players being involved, and it was all done on the actual trade deadline day. That's as close as the NFL is ever going to get to the NBA trade deadline. If you didn't know, this year's NFL trade deadline is the latest it's ever been in the season. It's specifically the Tuesday after Week 9. So, yeah, that's why this year's is going to be different. By Week 9, you should know what kind of a team you are. Are you having a chance at contending and going to the playoffs? Or are you just going to embrace the tank? So you can say F the picks and really go after good players on bad teams. Or, like I said, you can embrace the tank and have a fire sale. Just wait until the NFL adds another game, which means we're going to get another bye week. And in my opinion, what I would do is have one of the bye weeks be in the middle of the season, as to the middle as you can get, I guess, and then have that be for every team. So it's a universal bye week. So every team is off, and then you make the trade deadline that week. So you can really make this an event, and, we can really have some fun. So since I think the NFL trade deadline is going to be very interesting this year, I'm going to give some trade ideas that I think make a lot of sense. Since the NFL is all about Davante Adams right now, let's start there. Obviously, we've all heard the Jets, the Saints, and the Ravens, but I think there's one more team that makes way more sense than any of those. Now, as far as the Jets, I have no idea why Davante Adams would want to go there at all. Obviously, I get the Aaron Rodgers connection and everything, but the Jets, I just feel like sometimes in the NFL, the later and later we get into a season, we already know how this Jets, the story plays out. Rodgers hates the coach. It's going to be super dysfunctional. Every time they lose, it's just going to get more crazy and crazy. Maybe they won't hug again on the sidelines. They're going to fire the coach either in the middle of the season or the off season, and then you're going to kind of start this whole carousel again. We already know how this story ends. So yeah, I'm taking the Jets off the list, and I can feel you judging me. You're looking at what I'm wearing. You're saying, oh, you're a Bears fan. That's why you don't like Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, you're right. The Saints and the Ravens both make sense, so no arguments for me. But the other team that I think makes way more sense is the Falcons. They are in win now mode. Kirk Cousins just threw for like 500 yards or whatever it was. Can you imagine Davante Adams on one side and Darnell Mooney on the other? And then you have Kirk Cousins playing out of his mind? Like, the Falcons are in win now mode. The reports are that the Raiders want like a second round pick at best. Give them a first round pick if you're the Falcons, and let's go win a Super Bowl. Give them 2 second rounders or a 2 and a 4 in the future or something. Get it done and let's go win. I'm also going to throw in the Cardinals, who everybody forgets about, and I guess the Seahawks too, who are playing very good. My philosophy is if you're a good team and you think you have a chance at going deep in the playoffs or winning a Super Bowl, like, if you're in win now mode, go. Davante Adams is a win now player. Like, both the Seahawks and Cardinals are probably going to be, 7, 8, 9 wins, so they're not going to have a high draft pick. So go get Davante Adams and go try to win. Joe Burrow to the Raiders. I know it doesn't feel right. I know. But embrace it. Now, admittedly, in this scenario, Davante Adams doesn't leave the Raiders, because that wouldn't make a lot of sense. But the Bengals are 1-4. They may or may not pay Jamar Chase. T. Higgins is for sure either getting traded or leaving in free agency. So, yeah, I think it kind of makes sense. And as far as the Raiders side of this kind of trade scenario, what was the best case scenario for the Raiders this year? 7 wins? 8 wins and maybe getting into the playoffs? I just hate when teams go into the season and they're just fine with being mediocre. The only thing that being mediocre and getting those 7-8 wins gets you is like the 11th or 12th pick in the draft. You probably keep your mediocre coach because he did well enough, so you have that coach for another year. I completely hate that. I mean, the Raiders had Minshew and O'Connell. you didn't really have a clear choice at quarterback, but your other star players are in their prime, and like Davante Adams or Maxx Crosby. So in that sense, you're in win now mode. So in my kind of idea where I came up with this is insert a great quarterback onto the Raiders, and then that kind of changes everything, doesn't it? Like, in my mind, everyone makes fun of the Browns for not re-signing Flacco, and that makes sense. Like, go ahead and clown on the Browns. But how did the Raiders not go out and give Flacco, like, a 2-year deal? Like, he would be literally the perfect bridge quarterback who can still play at a high level, and then you can figure out your quarterback situation, but you have Davante Adams in his prime, you have Maxx Crosby, this whole team is ready to go. I feel like the Raiders going after Flacco in free agency makes all the sense in the world. Or I guess it made all the sense in the world. It also seems like Maxx Crosby is a Raider for life, but in the wild scenario where the Raiders are really going, full-blown tank and they want to trade him too, the Bears should immediately call. The Lions should as well. Didn't Maxx Crosby say like the only other team that he could see himself playing for was the Lions? I swear that was a thing like a few weeks ago. Can you imagine Maxx Crosby and Aiden Hutchinson on the same like line together? As a Bears fan, that scares the crap out of me. And that brings me to the Dolphins. I think the backup quarterback position is one of the most underrated positions in football. If you are a team that is trying to win the Super Bowl or go deep into the playoffs and you have a bad quarterback, in this scenario, you probably have like a good to great starting quarterback. But if you don't have a good backup quarterback, in my opinion, you have failed at evaluating that position. Case in point, the Dolphins. Everybody's aware of Tua's injury history. The Dolphins, again, are a team that is in win-now mode. They are going for the Super Bowl. They pay players like they're trying to win a Super Bowl. And how do you have your backup quarterback be Skylar Thompson? Like, again, speaking of Joe Flacco, how do you not go out and sign Joe Flacco as your insurance policy and have him be, the best backup quarterback in the league? If not, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's probably a top, 40 quarterback in the NFL, right? How do you not have him as your backup ready to go in case something happens to Tua? And now in present day, we know what happened with Tua, and when that injury happened, Anthony Richardson wasn't hurt yet, so you could have called the Colts up and maybe worked out a trade to get Flacco in there. I know trading a quarterback mid-season is really hard in the NFL. It doesn't really happen a lot, and it doesn't really end up successfully. Like, we had the Baker Mayfield thing, was it last year or the year before, where he came in to the Rams and went 99 yards on that Thursday night game, which was awesome. The only other one that's popping in my head is Carson Palmer, years ago. So I understand you would need maybe a week or even 2 weeks for that quarterback to get up to speed. But again, if you're the Dolphins in your win now mode, you take that 1 week or 2 weeks if you don't know who's starting to get Joe Flacco up to speed. Because again, if this scenario happens where Tua comes back, plays well, and let's say Tua goes down in a game in week 16 or 17, and then your backup is who? Huntley or still Skylar Thompson? That doesn't make any sense. Go trade for a quarterback. As a Bears fan, I don't want this to happen because I have 100% confidence in Tyson Bagent to fill in for Caleb Williams if that becomes necessary. But yeah, if I'm the Dolphins, I call up the Bears and I'm like, what do you want for Bagent? A 3rd round pick, a 4th round pick? And you go from there. I also feel the same way about the Chiefs. Who do you think is Patrick Mahomes' backup? I'll give you a second here. It's Carson Wentz. So in the scenario where Patrick Mahomes goes down and you need Carson Wentz to come in and win you a couple games, and let's say he's the same Carson Wentz that we all know, he plays bad and the Chiefs lose. To me, that's really, it's a little bit on Wentz, sure, but it's on the GM and the coaching staff. You failed at evaluating the backup quarterback, and the Chiefs are more in win-now mode than any other team in the league. They're trying to three-peat. They are literally all in as F them picks as you could possibly be in. If the Raiders and Chiefs were not in the same division, the Chiefs would probably already have Davante Adams on the roster. Even now, the Chiefs should offer 2 first-round picks or 3, whatever it would take. I know the Raiders would never do it. I understand that. But again, if you're the Chiefs, go get a solid backup quarterback in the event that your future Hall of Fame quarterback goes down. You are as win-now mode as you could possibly be. Now for some more realistic trades, I guess you could say. As a Bears fan, I don't think this one is a shocker. If anybody has a good to decent offensive lineman, give us a call. We could use the help. Another trade that I think makes a ton of sense for both teams is the Bears getting Trey Hendrickson for some combination of Tyler Scott, Khalil Herbert, and maybe you could throw a pick in there. The Bears have the Panthers' second round pick, which looks like it's going to be pick 33, right? Yeah, 33 in the draft. So I think that is a big trade piece to look at as far as like what could happen with the NFL trade deadline. But in this scenario, like I said, I don't think T. Higgins is coming back. Tyler Scott is a solid wide receiver who has like 3 years left on his current deal, I think. The Bears haven't used him at all this year. I know we have like Rome Odunze and Keenan Allen and Cole Kmet, so I guess that makes sense. But last year, Tyler Scott played okay. Again, he's a young receiver who probably is, really wants to go ball out. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Khalil Herbert is another running back that just hasn't played a lot. He was great last year for the Bears. He's in the last year of his deal. He's not going to get re-signed by the Bears. We have Swift and we have Roschon Johnson. They're not going to pay a running back. That's just not going to happen. So I think a team like the Bengals, who could just use a receiver, a running back, maybe like you could throw in a pick there, and the Bears, have been in the market for an edge rusher for like the last 2 years. So that makes a lot of sense. I also think the Cowboys could be a sneaky option for Khalil Herbert. Give the Bears like a 3rd or 4th round pick. They need a running back. They're trying to win a Super Bowl, so something like that makes a lot of sense. The Browns. Dude, I don't know. If you're going to cut Watson and go with that dead cap space, whatever that number would be, you're tanking and rebuild for the next 3-4 years, right? So why would you keep some of your other players in their prime? Amari Cooper, he has 1 year left? Myles Garrett, I feel like, has a few more, but why would Myles Garrett want to stick around for like a 3-4 year rebuild? That doesn't make any sense. So trading any of those players makes sense. Again, the Bears need an edge rusher. Would they trade for Myles Garrett? I don't know. We have a lot of money too, so whether it would be like a Myles Garrett or Trey Hendrickson or Maxx Crosby, like that would be awesome. That would be the dream. But the Bears also have a lot of like money and cap space to pay somebody in addition to trading for them. So like I think the Bears are a big team to look out, and again with that Panthers 2nd round pick. But would the Browns trade Myles Garrett? Again, if you're a team that's in win now mode, you need an edge rusher. If the Browns are really going full tank, get some picks and really kickstart this rebuild. Panthers fans, I'm not going to be mean. I know someone wants me to throw up the Bears-Panthers trade graphic and what we got from the Panthers. I'm not going to do that. I would never do that. I'm a Bears fan. If there's any fan base that knows about having a bad quarterback, going through the bad quarterback carousel of a coach, and then the coach, you trade the quarterback, but the coach, to save his job, drafts a quarterback in like the top 10, but your team is bad because you're supposed to be bad. You have a rookie quarterback. So then the coach and the offensive coordinator get fired. So then in your rookie quarterback's 2nd year, you have a new coach and a new OC and you have a new system, and you just repeat that for like 5 to 10 years. Trust me, I'm a Bears fan. I understand your pain, Panthers fans. So for the rest of the league, just trade Adam Thielen, Jadeveon Clowney, get some draft picks, and try to make it through the season. I know it's going to be tough. Again, I understand. I've been there. And I know Panthers fans don't want to hear this at all, but the Bears, again, do need an edge rusher. So if Jadeveon Clowney, I know he got hurt in the Bears and Panthers game that just happened, but assuming he, heals up and everything, maybe the Bears-Panthers do one more trade together so the Bears can get Jadeveon Clowney. And for my last idea, the Rams are 1-4. Yes, I'm going to say what you think I'm going to say. Trade Matt Stafford. But Michael, where? Where are you going to trade Matt Stafford? To a team that needs a backup quarterback. If you're in win now mode, go get a guaranteed future Hall of Famer in Matt Stafford. I think he only has 2 years left, so it's not like the craziest thing. Again, Dolphins, do it. The Chiefs would be kind of crazy. Can you imagine if you had like Mahomes and Stafford as your backup? That would be kind of fun. Even I don't know if I could realistically say that. But the Dolphins? Sure, why not? Give them a 2nd round pick. If you think that you are set and the only thing that you need is solid quarterback play, like if you're the Dolphins and you think if you could turn injuries off like in Madden and you had Tua for the rest of the year, so he's completely healthy, and you think you have a shot at the Super Bowl, yeah, do it. Trade for Matt Stafford. And if you're the Rams, you're 1-4. It's going to be incredibly tough to climb back up that hill. Go get some draft picks and start your rebuild. Those are my thoughts on this year's NFL trade deadline. I know I had some fun with some of my scenarios, but I honestly believe that this is probably going to be the craziest NFL trade deadline we ever get. It's the latest one that we've ever had, and like I said earlier in the video, by week 9, you should know what kind of a team you are and whether you're going to do a fire sale or go all in. Please like the video, it really helps the channel out, really helps me out. Please subscribe if you haven't, and thanks for watching.